So, a lack of funds really attributed to not having available school programs for students in regards to the prevention of drug use or programs for sexual assault victims or programs that explained, sexual assault or sexual abuse and how to seek out help or treatment. So these really were obstacles for her in resolving her crisis at the time. So now looking at a different theory, one developed by John Bowlby, was the attachment theory. So in discussing with her different stages of her life and focusing primarily on adolescence, it's clearly evident that during this time of development, she struggled with developing meaningful relationships with others, whether that be romantic relationships, relationships with peers or friends, having relationships that were meaningful with her family members. And during this time of her life, all of these things really played a major role in how she developed into adulthood. And in looking at attachment in terms of her adult attachment style, I would say personally and professionally that she has a fearful and avoidant attachment style. And this is clearly evident through her narrative about her life, and a lot of the relationships that she's had, in terms of them being abusive relationships. She has difficulty with trusting others, and she tends to jump into a relationship seeking intimacy, but also being very fearful of an intimate partner. But she struggles being alone. She doesn't like to be alone. She really is seeking that meaningful relationship with someone. However, struggles to do so, and she again she's just had a very very difficult time learning how to socially interact with other people. And she's throughout her life, she's never had a relationship that she could call really meaningful to her, one that really stood out. She talked about various relationships with men, and she couldn't remember their names, but she remembered a lot of the abuse that went on. And she never did get married. She never had any children. So currently she lives alone. She does have 2 children that she had with 2 different men, and she has estranged relationships with them. She talks about having a relationship with her adult son on and off, but they were never very close. And I think that her not being able to really develop those social skills during her adolescence and learn how to be in a meaningful relationship with someone else really affected how she is as an adult, and how she works with other people. She's had difficulty holding jobs due to interaction with fellow coworkers, and this all is really evident with the attachment theory. And in looking at her attachment with her primary caregiver, which would be her mother, she's not able to really remember the early stages of attachment, as in terms of infancy and her childhood, she really doesn't remember much of it, and that could be due to age. It could be due to chronic substance use. So her memory is very poor, and it's really hard to determine whether or not she ever had a meaningful relationship with her primary caregiver. But during her adolescent years, she really did struggle having a relationship with her mom, and her father, who spent most of his time drinking out of the home at bars and things like that. She had no real relationship with him. So, looking at both theories, the Erikson psychosocial stages of development and at the attachment theory, some limitations. I think that the Erikson's stage of development really fit well with my interviewee and her life's narrative. I didn't really see a whole lot of limitations with this, but limitations in regards to the attachment theory are that, again, her memory is very poor. So, looking at early attachment theory in infancy is difficult at this point, because she can't remember. She cannot remember those early years, and it could be due to the chronic substance use, and it also could be due to age. And another limitation that I think is really important is the self-reporting. We as social workers, or as any type of human service professional, are going off of things that we observe or are being self-reported to us. And in this interview, all that I have to really work with are things that are being told to me, whether they are true, not true, a variation of the truth. So that's really what I have to go on in terms of these theories. I wasn't there to really assess or observe any type of interaction that she has had with others, with attachment or relationship, or how she socially interacts. So for me to really say one way or another, it's difficult. I really can only go off of the self-reporting. And then here I have a list of the references that I used. But overall, that is my older adult oral presentation. I had a really enjoyable time going over this and really getting to know my interviewee more. Like I said, I do work with her. I see her once a week, and I have been working with her for about a year now. But to sit down and really interview her and work on each stage of her life and focus on each stage of her life was really beneficial, I think, to get an overview of, how she's developed, where she's at, and the type of person that she is now, and, things that can be improved upon, things that, she may need in treatment. So I think that this overall was a great exercise, and in focusing on one specific stage of development and how it has affected her is just, it's really meaningful to look back and think, okay, well, these are the reasons that this happened, or this could be the reason that this occurred or caused these behaviors, and how can this be rectified, corrected, or where can we go from here. So thank you very much.